it's Mike. I'm with Dennis again, obviously.
Yeah.
This is two sides of the same conversation. And I am here with Michael Bastien. Michael, how are you today?
Doing well, brother. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Excited to be here.
Awesome. So, Dennis told me you've already done a podcast before, so this is like not even new territory for you, right?
Well, I'm usually the one interviewing.
Oh.
I'm not usually behind the camera and
Okay.
answering the questions. Yeah. Ask you a question.
Ask me a question. Go for it.
What inspired you to start the podcast?
So that's a very good question. So it was inspired by the fact that I feel that everyone has a story to tell. And while everyone does have a story to tell, and maybe this is a little egotistic on my part, I don't think everyone has a good, interesting story to tell. So I felt that there was stories that I could tell that are rooted within being biracial that literally most people can't have, because being biracial is a very unique experience. And it just so happens I know someone else who's biracial, who's Dennis. And just knowing his background, I was like, whoa, we ended up in two different worlds. Oh, we ended up having like two different experiences, mostly by circumstance, basically.
Yep.
But even within that, like, we just had so many different things happen to us just by being biracial that I don't think, even in our unique circumstances, other people who might have been more of a singular ethnicity would be able to experience. So this is how the podcast came about. And for me personally, it only could work with another biracial person. Like, it could not work with anyone else, in my opinion.
Hence, two sides of the same coin, right?
Two sides of the
Same
same coin.
house. Yeah.
And it's growing. Like, I think for us, we were starting, we were like, the first episode, we talk about, like, what do we even call this show, and we go through it. But now, like, what I've realized is together we're able to hold so many people, because, like, there's so many people that identify with his perspective, and there's so many people that identify with mine, and we have so much time in our relationship. So, like, a lot of things I think where people could have friction, we've organically experienced, even though we don't talk about it. Like, we was on set with Ari Clips, who was a brother, he passed away. But we've been through all of these organic, unscripted things that brought us wisdom and brought us experiential knowledge. And we just, I know for me personally, I'm experiencing that with this journey as well. It's like every time we do a project, it like we just learn, and it's pretty a cool thing. But I want to get to you, because you flipped it about us. This ain't about us. It's about
That's my specialty, right?
Well,
pretty good at that.
Yes, it wasn't necessarily about us, because technically he's been in podcasts before he was interviewed. So I was getting his experience in real time.
Yeah. So I guess that is a good question. Like, why did the podcast stop?
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel like? What was was it sustainable? Was it like, what were the incidents that made you say, I got to pivot away from this and go in a different direction?
Towards the podcast or away from it?
I'd say away from it.
Away from it, yeah, away from it.
Brothers in Arms, it was ramping up the organization. Should we get into what Brothers in Arms is first, or?
Yeah,
without question. Yeah. So, I guess you should probably introduce yourself from the Brothers in Arms space, but we're going to have to go multiple places, because you are very diverse outside of Brothers in Arms. I know that. And that's what I want to use this conversation to highlight. I think you get a lot of recognition, rightfully so, right, for Brothers in Arms. But I think, at least from my perspective of knowing you, I never want to see anything box you in.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, you know what I'm saying? So we're going to talk about Brothers in Arms, but I think a lot of people in our network is going to know that.
Okay.
But yeah, let's start with Brothers in Arms. So,
start with Brothers in Arms and why it started.
Yeah. Why it started?
Awesome. Started with a conversation with a cousin of mine. He called me one day and he said, Michael, I'm going through something. I'm down on my luck, and I'm overthinking. While he's talking about what he's going through, I'm thinking about what I'm going through. And that's when I said, if we're going through this, imagine how many other men within our community are also going through the same exact thing. And I said, we have to start this, but we have to do it right. So I reached out I said, before we do this, you got to come. I had a studio space in Lawrence at the time. And I said, before we do this, we have to test the demand to see if people are actually interested, right? because I didn't want to lean into something that people weren't interested in.
Mhm.
Even if it would serve the greater good, I need to see who's interested. So at the time, I had a studio space in Lawrence. And I said, come to my studio space where I was podcasting. Come to the studio space, let's record a video. I wrote him a little script. We recorded the video. We put it on all social media platforms, and it went viral, like across the social media platforms. So I looked at him and I said, "It's something we got to do." Right. So this initially started with my cousin, Darwin Joseph. Shout out to Darwin Joseph. But it was a conversation through him that this came into fruition. From there, I said, okay, we have the first step down. Now we need a location, right? I don't know if we were talking or you knew me when I was doing the underdog showcases.
I didn't know.
You didn't know. So 2022, I was doing showcases, right? So I thought to myself, okay, there's a lot of creatives in Lawrence. How could we get them all in the same place, but show the diversity of creativity, right? I didn't want to do an event where, you know, you get a whole bunch of rappers in the club and then now they're all rapping and competing against each other. I said, no, let's showcase the diversity. So I guess you're learning something new on this podcast as well.
I am.
So yeah, it's called the Underdog Showcase because initially, again, when you think about Lawrence, right, we're looked at as the underdogs. But my idea was, let's get a singer, let's get a rapper, let's get a violinist, let's get a saxophonist, let's get a pianist, let's get a guitarist. So I got all these people in one central location on one Broadway, Aaron Thornburg, where his space was, and sold out 80 tickets, right? I only did 2 shows. But I say that to say, I did a percentage split with Aaron. So instead of me paying him $100 an hour, I did a percentage split. So I said, hey, if X amount of people, you get a percentage. So instead of him making $300 or $400 for 3 or 4 hours, he made $600 because of the ticket sales.
Wow.
So what I said was to my cousin, literally, I was like, when you make people money, they do favors for you. So his space is amazing. It looked like an MTV Unplugged type of vibe because it's like a basement vibe, and then it had mood lighting. And he did shows there as well. So then I said, yeah. So this is. I reached out to Aaron and I said, can we? I have this idea of a circle. Can we pilot it in your space? Our first circle turned into a year and 5 months pro bono.
Wow.
So he gave it to us for free for a year and 5 months. And that's pretty much how we started. It started off as a bi-weekly program, and the guys kept telling us, like, we need it weekly, we need it weekly, we need it weekly. At the time, it wasn't sustainable weekly because I had other things I was focusing on. Yeah, I got all it.
People don't know that. Yeah, I get it.
It was sustainable weekly, but then through one of my other friends, I'm going to shout out a lot of people on this podcast, so that's okay. Shout out to Onyx Batista, he's someone I still work with now. I look at him as a strategist, a friend, a brother. He's like, brother, your group is growing, and I need you to get rid of the media and just focus, right? He didn't give me the blueprint on how to do so, but he's someone I genuinely respect, so that's what I did. So I took the risk. So about 2 years in, I cut off the media, I cut off everything, and I just focused on Brothers in Arms, and we like 20x'd. I had investments that I made prior. That's pretty much how I kept things afloat. But the rest of history was that.
It's so amazing. So it's crazy, right? Because like I see my perspective. I didn't know because when I first saw you in the art space was through the Juneteenth event. Because I had met you through my being blown away by the Brothers in Arms. So I learned about the other aspects of you, right? Which is kind of, I think, reverse from most people that know you, right? From what you're telling me, most people that know you, which makes sense because as I got in Lawrence and I was building with other people in the art space, there was so much history. Like I know there's it's a very small community.
Yep.
So and I'm wise enough. Like let's be clear. Artists are the most sensitive people. No? Can we all say that? You work with artists, you're an artist, I'm an artist.
Yeah,
we're all artists.
Yeah.
Like are artists not sensitive?
I think we all have different sensitivities. So yes, to that point, yeah.
So in that, can we also say that a lot of unintentional harms, I would say, to stop us all from getting where we could get to as a collective?
No.
You wouldn't say that?
No, I would say for most artists, the problem is resources, i.e., money. And the reason I say that is because for when it comes to art, you have to find your audience who appreciates it.
Right.
And even then, you're not necessarily doing it for the money, you're doing it for the creativity.
But I think, here's what I'm going to say. I think all of the pilots and the people from the community I've dealt with were focused on money, like what Mike's saying, right? Or I can name a bunch of other artists that are working on showcasing their art or showcasing people that they respect's art and trying to get people to come to generate money. I find why people don't come is because all of the history of these sensitive harms that cause like lines. Like, oh, I'm not gonna mess with this person because, and it's so sensitive because this is the thing. Like, I've been to the Juneteenth event 2 times, right? I think my first performance was better than my second. Like, I think the first year, even though I'm a better artist now, singing and performing, sometimes you're on, sometimes you're not. It's like a comic set. But I find immature artists will blame their lack of performance or a bad situation on everybody but themselves. And that sensitivity creates the harm where people stop working together instead of staying on course as a collective.
Yeah, I can understand that, but I see that more of a maturity problem, to be honest. Like, as I've gotten older, I've just sort of acknowledged, like, for myself, like, oh, yeah, there's going to be better people because there's other people who've spent more time to focus on it. Actually, this is funny. I had a conversation about my mom about this. She's like, maybe, because at the time I was unemployed, she's like, maybe this is an opportunity for you to explore that art and work more towards it. So I was like, all right, well, realistically, no, I cannot become a film producer in my 40s with 3 kids because in order to do it properly, you have to consider spending 12 to 16-hour days on a production set. And you have to start from the bottom, which is a production assistant. And you have to grind your way up and build a network. I'm not doing that in my 40s. I have grades already. Like, that's not happening. And then at the same time, when you think about it, you have people who are young enough who can do that. And during that same time frame, they're going to live longer and gain more experience. They're literally going to be exponentially better than me in my own lifetime. So there's no point in trying to compete with that. So through maturity, I understand, hey, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't say I've reached my sin, but I'm going to improve my skill set at a slower pace. And that's fine. I don't need to be the world's best. There's other people who do that, and I can appreciate what they do. But I think when it comes to younger people, they don't have that perspective because they haven't lived long enough to think about that. And if they were really smart, and I've seen this happen, especially in the film world, like you see like a lot of content creators, like on YouTube, for example, they're always talking about like different gear and whatnot, and they use that gear to create shorts and whatever else. And what they've realized, instead of working as individuals, if I know another YouTuber who's just as talented, let's work together. And what you're seeing now is a lot of them coming together and making their own productions, like production companies, because they're like, we can't wait for Hollywood. We're still young, so we can dedicate our time to it. So we're going to make this happen. So I think, based on what you're saying, these people, these younger people, they just need better direction.
Yeah, but that's what the point of Mike provided that. And I'm saying, knowing, and you're one of many that I think have tried to bring. How many times you hear, we got to come together, right?
Yeah.
Then it happens, right? And it's not even young people. Like, I think the young people, and I'm going to ask you this, do you think that the young people would benefit from our generation, your generation, and older repairing the harm and creating a platform for those younger people? Absolutely. Or do you think the young people are causing the division because of immaturity?
Or both?
I think it is both.
You think it's both?
I think it's both.
Okay.
But they would benefit from us repairing the harm, because I feel like it trickles down, right? It starts from the top up. If they're looking at us as mentors, guides, and we can't get along, we're the example, are we not?
Right. And I think like the one thing, there's no economic strategy. And I think that's always a big misstep, right? Like even if it's $50, right? Even if it's $100, but if you're working towards something that has an economic takeaway, then everyone I feel like is invested. And you walk away saying, yeah, you know what? I only made $50, but it's something.
And that's why we took the approach with the Juneteenth Festival, paying every single artist.
Yes, you did.
So at the festival, minimum 150 each person who touched the stage, minimum 12 to 15 minutes.
Right.
Some people just came on and did a spoken word for 5 minutes and then left. You know what I mean? But we wanted to make sure people were being rightfully compensated for their time, because I feel like they get asked to do so many free things, but they spent 5 years, 10 years, 20 years on their craft. But who's respecting that, right? Who's respecting it? Nobody is.
Right.
They're like, oh yeah, I see you grinding, man. I want you to come support my event and take your 10 years of experience and do it for free. But it's like a smack in the face for someone who's been putting their blood, sweat, and tears, and they have a dream, they have a mission. Yeah, so when we talk about economic strategy, I think that's the approach more people need to take when they're asking these creatives who are independent to come support them.
Now, even for me, that has become a point of tension with certain artists, because there always has to be that person, right? No, but I'm serious. Like, even with creating economic strategy, there's people like, well, this is a celebration and we should all be doing this from our heart. And the reason I'm highlighting all of this is what I keep on saying. Like, I think the problem that we have to overcome, and now more than ever, right? Because now you're not going to see that federal support. You're not going to see that state support because the state lost federal support. And I know this, I was a state worker, right? So like when economics get tight, certain programs get cut, and arts are always at the front of the line because you got food insecurity.
Absolutely.
You got all of these other issues that are really serious issues. And our world still can't understand that art is central to addressing all of that. That even when you're homeless, even when you're cold, even when you're hungry, a song gets you through the day, right? Whistle while you work, that whole mentality. And I just, what I want to keep on uplifting, and why I keep on bringing this up to you is, a lot of people I think that I talk to when they see you, there's always this thing of, what's the word? Like, I think people misjudge your confidence, your determination, your perseverance, because you don't speak on a lot of, like, what I've known you and I've known of things you've dealt with, but you move forward. You seem to move forward and always be focused on the greater good, the large picture.
Yeah.
And I find people, like, people look like, and this could be me misreading, but I'll watch you get up and you'll see, body gesture or something like you get what I'm saying? So it's subtle.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I see. You gotta understand. So, and let me explain to the audience, so it's not like I'm projecting. I came from a prison culture, right? So growing up in a prison culture, you have to constantly be observant of your environment. You have to watch everything because it could come from anywhere. So those little subtle moments and those little subtle non-verbal things tell you about who's plotting and planning against you. So now that I'm out, people don't realize I see everything. Do you get what I'm saying? For the most part, I don't see everything, but you get what I'm saying? For the most part, I see a lot. So when someone like you, who I instill so much pride in me, right? I'm like, man, look at this young dude. He get it, right? He gets it. He gets where we need to go, and we need to elevate and all this. And then I see the reaction from other people, and people like, they say, oh, this dude thinks he's all that. Is how I would interpret those non-things. And like as I get to know you, you don't. Like I think you're so critical of yourself, and tell me if I'm wrong at any point. I think you're so critical of yourself that you're like, I'm gonna be excellent. I'm gonna look over and try to refine all the areas that I can improve. And as someone that has kind of been through that journey myself, like from trying to get free, man, that comes with a cost. You get what I'm saying? So I want to say all of this to say, like, as I'm speaking, what comes to your mind? Like, is it? Do you feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people, not a lot, but do you feel that? Do you feel energy in rooms where you're like people maybe aren't supportive, or the more you succeed, the more it separates you from people?
Who are my age. I've learned to put myself in different rooms, right? In the rooms that are more accepting, and I try not to dwell and think about the people that don't support me and focus my energy more on people that do. That's what's helped me a lot. But yeah, there's a huge separation between people that are from my generation. Like my friends are like 40, 50, like my best friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, my best friend. Like I was with one of my friends last night. From the Glow Gala, we went to JBS. She's 44.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And these are the people that I connect with. She's an executive. But yeah, man, I felt it, and I've seen myself, and I remember how I felt when I dwelled on it, and it's just not good for me.
Let's lock into that.
So,
Because this is why I want to go there, because the problem what led to my incarceration was my inability to look past all of that. Right? So as a younger person, I felt that I was phony and fake if I didn't confront or address anyone that was throwing negative energy or anything towards me. And that led to a horrible life, right? I made decisions that put me in really bad spaces. So I'm focusing on this to kind of ask you, right? Like, because I still see this with young people. Do you get what I'm saying? I still see people going through the challenges I went through. Mm-hmm. How are you able to kind of, because you're still feeling the feelings I feel, right?
Yeah.
Like you still feel, like when someone does something negative to you or makes, you see it, you hear it, right? Or you can sense
at times. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So, because I've heard you talk about when you were growing up, it was difficult.
Well, that was at the forefront when I was growing up. But I didn't have the tools when I was growing up. You know what I mean? The tools to look past it.
So when you didn't look past it, what would that look like for you? So in the past, when you didn't have the tools,
anxiety, overthinking, isolation, all those three things all encompassing.
And most days, we got construction going on and building houses. So most days, what would that, so I get what you're saying, but what would that look like on your day? Like when you say isolate, that means like for how long? Like how long would you isolate? Would you be like, because I'm assuming this is school?
Yeah, school.
So you come home and, or in school, like are you sitting by yourself or are you just silent? Like how did that play out actually?
Good question. I think, well, I'll go back a bit. Before isolation, it was anxiety. Let's start with that. So in regard to anxiety, like before going up to someone, right, being a kid and just being social, like I would double think, triple think, because I didn't tell the audience, but I had a speech impediment growing up until the age of 14. So a conversation like this wouldn't be possible. Like at all. Like I'll try to speak to you, but I'd stutter. So my speech impediment was stutter severely, and then I'll just stop talking and walk away. That was my day-to-day life when I was a kid. If I would raise my hand in class, I would stutter, people would laugh, and I would shut down. So that's what I was dealing with. So making friends, people liked me because of my energy, because I was always happy-go-lucky, but I couldn't make genuine connections when I was a kid because I couldn't genuinely communicate with anybody. In regard to isolation, yeah, at times I'd be by myself, but then I had family that was in school, so they were like, "Oh, Michael, be good." So I had people that checked up on me, thankfully, but that's kind of what it was. It was more deeper anxiety because I knew I couldn't fully communicate with the people that were around.
Now, so would you consider that like, even as you think about it, do you think like that was like, because we all go through these dark moments and when we're young, was that a dark time for you? In restorative justice, there's the medicine wheel. And it's funny why I'm thinking this. I was just at my wife's college speaking to the students there. And in the medicine wheel, there's 4 major sections. There's the mind, there's the body, there's the spirit, and then there's the the mind, the body, the spirit, and the emotion. I'm sorry.
Yep.
So, and right? You went through that. I was just telling him about the thing. So my whole point is like people don't realize the spirit. Like the spirit is that deeper sense when the body, the mind, and your emotions are in such distress. Then it just creates this spiritual thing where you don't even think you can rise out of that. Did you touch that when you were younger, or have you ever touched that at all? Like where you really felt like completely low, completely down? Or was it still like it was hard, but you knew it was going to turn around?
It was hard. I knew it was going to turn around, but I could say I'm from Somerville. So like I was born in Somerville and I came to Lawrence when I was 6. And coming into this community, and I've talked about this on other podcasts, but I didn't see people that looked like me. And then on top of that, I have speech impediment. So like it was these two things that were plaguing me. And that's when I felt low because I was like, I can't resonate with anybody here, right? There's people that I looked around, I said, Spanish, white, where's the black people? And that's what kind of took a toll on my spirit because there was a sense of no connectivity there.
Yeah, and so because this is so polar opposite of people that meet you today. Like I think if you see, I just seen on social media you were giving away an award. You had a dashing suit. You're up there with some other guy. The backdrop looks like you're in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So people and even when you're coming to the event, people are meeting you.
Yeah.
So my point is this contrast where I think people see you now, right? And they see, I don't want to say the shell because you're very intentional, I think, about everything you do. But I think people could see you now and think you never even had a hardship. You never been through anything.
And that's what I struggle with now, right? Like I had bad grades, I acted out, I wanted to fit in, I was complacent, but I had to learn from it. You know what I mean? And yeah, I agree, man. And that is what's tough, right? Where people look at you like the refined version of you, and they think that you've never had a problem in your life or you were spoon-fed, but they don't understand the struggle you had to go through to build the person you are today. Nobody's just born and they're like that. You know what I mean? They have to go through things and consistently build themselves and work and be intentional to get to a level where they feel confident in their skin. And that's what I had to do. I had to because I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have people that showed me the ropes. I just had to do something, right? Do whatever I wanted to do or put myself in the fire and then learn from that and then pivot, adapt, do it again, pivot, adapt. Like example, when I started the podcast or when I did the showcase or when we didn't talk about this, but I put together a business convention in 2021. I didn't have anybody guiding me. It was more about the will. I just wanted to do something. And I just knew and I had enough confidence in myself to say, if I do it, I have enough confidence to learn along the way and pivot if need be. And that's what led up to everything that I'm doing now.
So I want to kind of, there is one thing I want to go back to because you mentioned speech impediment, and also we're not hearing speech impediment now. When did you? I don't know. I'm going to word this the wrong way, so I apologize. But like, when did you come to a transition point where like the impediment was basically gone? You're communicating clearly, and do you feel that impediment has helped you not only speak clearly, but also, I imagine, in your mind, it's the words were there, right?
Yeah.
Like you knew exactly what you wanted to say.
Absolutely.
So, almost in a sense, over time, I would say over time, like in your mind, you could probably come up with an idea much more clearly than someone else who maybe didn't have a speech impediment. So, do you feel that even though that was a struggle that you went through, it actually became an advantage later on in life that maybe other people don't necessarily have because they didn't have to struggle through that?
Absolutely. That struggle became my advantage, man. The way I got rid of it, though, I'll lead into that a bit. My cousin, his name's Fabrice, he's like, Michael, you're super energetic, you're super talented, but there's one thing you're failing to do, and that's think before you speak. He says, before you walk up to someone, I want you to think about it. Think before you say something, and that's what I did. So, for example, if I saw Dennis and you were in my class, prior to thinking, I just walk up to you and try to say something, and then I'd stutter and then just walk away. So I said to myself, okay, Dennis is here, right? I acknowledge that you exist. Go say hi to Dennis. And then I did it, and then it worked. Or in class, I always had the answer in class. This is what was crazy. I always had the answer, man. Always.
That's frustrating.
I would raise my hand. Always had the. I'm like, damn. But so I thought to myself, I said, the answer is 5. 5. And I was like, oh, shit, it worked. And then it was these building blocks that I had to build, kind of like what I was mentioning earlier, right? You got to build these things within yourself to get to that next level. And that's what ultimately gave me the confidence. And by the age of 14, that's when I got rid of it completely. Like, the speech impediment was gone. And it's funny, too, because I hear, like, some people got to go to speech therapy and things of that nature to get rid of a stutter. But I didn't. I just was intentional, right? And how that plays in my life today, now I think about everything I say. Sometimes to the point where it's like maniacal. Would that be the word? So it's like I'm more intentional, but what plays in the back of my head is think before you speak, because you never want to unintentionally harm someone. Yeah, or intentionally harm someone, right? So yeah, man. I mean, I think if more people thought before they spoke, then less harm would be done. You know what I'm saying? And again, like, we're emotional beings, right? We're emotional creatures, but I think people have feelings, and you want, and not saying that you have to tiptoe around how people feel, but everything you say and everything you do matters, right? And you always have an opportunity to either build with someone or break that bond. So just be intentional.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
That perfectly answers my question, and I think maybe it transitions to what you're doing in Brothers in Arms, right?
Absolutely.
I don't think we really explained what Brothers in Arms is. You did say that it started with your cousin and he was going through a situation, but then it then transformed into this space where there was creatives, and then you said you took the media part out of it, and then it grew 20 times more.
Yep.
20 times more into what?
Community, brotherhood, love. So in a nutshell, right? I don't want to give you guys like a corporate mission statement, right? I don't want to give you that. I just want to be real and just it's essentially a community of brothers who were all lost at one point but came to the group, and now we have each other, right? It's the crutches of the community when you feel low, when you feel down. Now we're here to pick you up. And it's funny because on Monday, two new guys came in. Obviously, I'm not going to say the names, but one of the guys was really down on his luck, right? And to see that all the guys, again, we only have about an hour and a half, 2 hours to speak about the specific topic. The guys spent 30 minutes just pouring into this one guy, right? Because they understood that he needed it more. And that's something that you just can't teach, right? I wasn't there facilitating saying, pour into him, pour into him, pour into him. No, they saw that there was a clear need. And that's the power of circle. That's the power of restorative justice, the power of community. It's to the point where, like, when the brothers see another brother needs more help than he does at the time, they're willing to selflessly put their needs to the side and pour into him, because he understands that he might be in that position at one point. And he might want, or he's going to need that energy at one point as well. So, yeah, Brothers in Arms is a community of brothers. It's honestly the greatest blessing of my life. Because prior, I was telling one of your friends at the event last night, prior to the group, I didn't cry for 6 years. Through deaths, through everything, I was the stone face, and I thought I had an issue. I thought I had a problem. My aunt died, people in my life were dead, and I was just like this. But it was the walls I built up, right? Like, I built up all these walls. You're a man, right? And you hear this, you're a man, you're not supposed to cry. You're a man, you're not supposed to feel. So, even though I felt sad, I wasn't allowing myself to be sad, right? And through the group, right, it gave me a chance to every Monday night. It gave me a chance to get the repetition, to try again, to speak about my emotion, and through that, I unlocked my emotions. Like, I unlocked it. So now I have the ability. If I want to cry, I could say, I could just cry. I was giving a speech at the 3-year anniversary, and I cried. I've never done that. And I was like, at the end, I was like, where'd that even come from, right? But that's the power of community. That's the power of speaking about how you feel. It gives you the power to be in control of your emotions and choose whether you want to accept or deny. And that also comes right back around to being intentional, right? At times, man, you need to show that vulnerability for other men to learn as well, and for other men to lean into it.
And you hold so many different people. Like when I think about the group, and I think it's hard to describe Brothers in Arms because you don't want to use the traditional moniker. You don't want to say support group. It's bigger than a support group.
Yeah.
You don't want to say restorative circle because it's tremendously a restorative circle, but it also, some restorative circles are so entrenched in restorative culture where it's like it has to be the talking piece in this way that it's restorative justice, but it's unscripted. Like our dialogue, there's constructs and there's values and it holds. But like what he's saying, if someone comes in because it's situated in Lawrence and it's situated in so much transformation, these brothers have gone through the last couple of years on transformative journeys together on where they've gone, and that time has just built something very sacred that you have to go there and feel like the welcoming, especially as a man, like you have to feel it, you have to go there to really get a grasp of what it is. But it's amazing to watch because it feels like church, it feels like a community meeting, it feels like there's so many things when you're in it that in one meeting it feels like. And it's funny because like I intentionally pull myself from going because I'm a talker, right? And I have like, I'm so reactive to like what you're saying. If I see someone's hurting or if I see something that I'm like a little dog, I gotta take it down. And that's not always good in spaces where, people need to speak sometimes, to your point. People need, and it's unintentional. Like you could take up too much space. And I know Mike's gonna be like, Dennis, we want you every week.
Well, I was gonna say this. So this is why you created a podcast.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm here. But you get what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Like there's a time where if Mike's there or if I'm there or there's another brother, Edwin, who I just love this brother. I don't tell him enough. I don't see him enough to tell him enough. But he is Edward. Edward is.
Shout out to Edward Sedano.
Yeah, Edward's hard. And like I've never met someone and been like, this dude loves me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, not like a bad intention, like he just cares. And you're just like, it just comes across and you're like, what are we doing? Do you need some help or something? I don't know. He's a really amazing person.
Absolutely.
But my whole point is I've seen people come in and I don't want to say they're intimidating, but like it has to be set where people get comfortable and build that confidence. I'm sure you've seen that. People come in, not talk maybe a couple times and then pour out, or people just come and you think they just pour.
So here's the thing, man. I mean, that's why, and again, I was smiling on my face because that's what I love about our circle, right? I always lead with, you don't have to speak, but I know once they get in and they hear the stories around them, they always speak. For example, you can say, I'm gonna come in, but I'm not gonna talk. You're gonna hear something that Jimmy is going through, and you're like, in your head, you're like, I think it's not that bad. I'm just gonna talk about what I got going on. And that's what happens all the time. Like the guys they come in intimidated, like this, and then you see them as the night goes on, they start to loosen up, and then they outpour. Like there was a guy, I could tell another story where we had 21 guys in this circle. This was a big circle. The topic was, what does it mean to be a man? Mm-hmm. Went all around, right? Because we're not as traditional. We don't have a talking piece yet. It's just boom, 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 boom. It got to him, right? And he just started crying. First time at the circle, just bursted out in tears. And I told everybody, like, oh, just calm down, just like let him let go. So he let go. He goes, man, I don't even know why I'm crying, but thank you. And then he talked a little bit. He said, I just had a daughter, and I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. And then from there, we just continued on. And we're like, yo, are you done, brother? He's like, that I'm in. and then we just snapped, right? Because that's what we do every circle, right? Because we don't want to do all that, and then we continue. You know what I mean? And that is the power. You know what I'm saying? Like he conjured up all that emotion through listening, through our opinion of what it means to be a man. Right? And then he embodied our experiences, and that's what outpoured. So
Hold on, I got it, because I want to thank you for one other thing. So when we met, I felt like there was this inner path where, like, what you're saying is so beautiful, right? And it is when you're in these spaces. But then we would have conversation. I would talk to you about sustainability. I would talk to you about, like, what good is it if we're healing, but we're not building pathways to housing or food insecurity? And that's when I would talk about money, right? Which is like a thing where a lot of people that do achieve these healing spaces, I think their mindset is, let's not bring in money because money corrupts. But I really appreciate, and I have to give you this flower, your ability to take on the challenge of holding the space, keeping the space sacred, keeping the space not about money, but then leaving the space, conditioning yourself as a professional, understanding what I was trying to say, understanding that I wasn't coming in trying to, but understanding that I was like trying to, like what you were saying, I never had mentorship. So I was trying to share nuggets of what I learned from doing Goons to God. I had a circle out here, and it just wasn't sustainable because people kept coming back with the same harms that I couldn't hook them up with a Genie Geiger so they could figure out the domestic violence areas. I couldn't figure out their housing things. So that was what made me be like, okay, and I went on to this whole thing to try to figure that out. But I really appreciate that, and I want to highlight the for you, right? Like, how do you have two different personalities? Like in the sense where it is, right? Like what you need. Feel me out. Because the skill set when you're sitting across from a corporate anchor institution, a partner, you were in Lawrence Family. Where was the groups initially?
Family Services.
Family Services. Okay. Now you're in Northern Essex.
College, yep.
So what I'm saying is the people that are in the circle, sharing in the circle, might not get that other labor of thinking about, all right, how do we scale? How do we grow with partnerships? But how do we still treat the partners we had good? And so all of that stuff, which I was like, that's attached to the money. No, like there's a bunch of relationships in business and a whole bunch of work that you have to do on top of
course,
being who you are in that space.
Absolutely.
And now you have to think of how do you scale you, right? Because so I want to highlight that some people, when I present them with, hey, there's these funding and revenues and all this, they see it and they're like, nothing to do with it. But you stepped up, man. You were like, we're going to figure it out. And not only did you step up for yourself, but you also was transparent with your team. You're working with a bunch of people. That comes with transitions because some people will be like, hey, I don't want to move. So I'm just saying, like, how has that been? And how do you, like, when you're sitting at a table with funding and you're looking more of like as an executive director, right? Mm-hmm. That's different than when you're looking as a facilitator trying to create the space of healing. Do you get what I'm saying? So and this is weekly, you're doing this, daily, right? Like, or even hourly. Like you go from a circle to taking a call and setting up a meeting the next day.
All day. I'm going to show you guys my calendar after this. Literally a 12-hour day today.
So can you explain that? Can you explain that? And then like also how they help each other? So in other words, I'm assuming your work in the circle gives you some emotional perspective at the board.
To connect. I mean, I could talk to this a couple ways. I'd say the first thing is that the mission sells itself, man. And like when you're passionate about what you do, it's super easy to convince people because you're not putting up a facade. So like when I meet with these funders, right, like people just think people just come and give you money. No, you apply and then they have an interview process to see what you're about. And then you have to sell it. So at the end of the day, it still comes back to the person who's selling the mission.
Mhm.
And if they believe intrinsically that you believe this, that's all it takes. And that's really what I do, man. I just talk about it from my heart. And then, of course, right, corporate, they want to see the impact. We have impact. Over 200 men served, right, in 3 years in person, right? Not even touching or scratching the surface of the online scale yet. We haven't even went online yet. And we've already touched 200 men across. We have a new guy that comes. He's been coming for 5 weeks straight. Beverly, Mass, 65 years old and black. Because there's a lack of support in his community. You know what I mean? So that part is easy. With myself, right? I keep myself in all of these programs, right? Like I get asked to be in cohorts. I get asked. My best friend for the past couple of months has been no, but I'm intentional. I'll be honest, but I'm intentional about what I do take on, right? Like I did INP, right? The Institute for Nonprofit Practice, which is hard to get into. You know what I mean? Like we need a recommendation, but all of the C-suite executives get a chance to learn with other C-suite executives. So I'm a sponge. I'm just learning, and I'm in the spaces. I just got asked to be in leads, which you were a part of. So I keep refining my skills. I keep building
Boston
my network.
leads or
Echo. So it's the one that's going to be in Lawrence.
Okay, yeah, that's this. Yeah.
So I just got asked to be in leads, and they did the interview process, and at the end, they gotta show you solo confidence. At the end of that interview, I said, "When do we start?" Right? Usually in an interview, they're like, "We'll get back to you." I was just like, "When do we start?" Because I know like what we're providing here is unique enough, and it showed enough impact. Yeah, does that answer your question?
Yes.
I was riffing a bit.
No,
Does that answer it, or is there something else you want me to really hit?
No, it does answer it. I think what I want to hit is from my perspective, you've gone from serving that now, like I don't think a mentor realizes when he's a mentor. So my point is now, like as you expand, right, and you grow.
Yep.
Can you just explain? So in our community, when I look at you, I always look at how we first met, and I think about how I was when I first came. We're from this community.
Yeah.
We came from this community, and we taught ourselves how to be a part of these higher systems that really drive a lot of the healing or whatever. It comes from other spaces. So I feel like we learned about nonprofit. We learned about government contracts. And then in learning that, you realize that the skills you learn in the community have to be refined.
Yeah.
Right? And that for a lot of people can feel, in my old, younger self, I'm learning, it feels fake. It feels like, oh, I'm changing who I am.
So I see you.
You get what I'm saying?
What's performative and what's genuine, right?
Right.
What does feel performative?
Well, you do both. And my point is you instinctively knew that. Like, so when I met you, it wasn't like, you weren't looking like, oh, is this well, maybe you were, but my point is you understood, like you said, you got to enter rooms, you got to listen, you got to learn, you have to find your way. And I think, like, for me, when I think about what you could replicate, like replicating a Michael Bastien, which is impossible because you're your own self. But my point is, you're very special in that sense, where you continue to learn the skills. You're an ambassador of the community of Lawrence, right? So the narrative about what a young person from Lawrence is, you challenge all of the historic, I would say, descriptions of people that come from all the challenges we come from. So that's where I'm going. Like, and that wasn't, no one taught you that really. Like, you went into rooms and decided to be the best version of yourself. You've learned, like, you could sit in a boardroom, you could chair a meeting. When you go to these spaces, you're informing other people with traditional knowledge. So those are the things that I'm really trying to just highlight, like you're saying, and then how, if we're speaking to the younger people, that the younger Michael with a speech impediment, that felt alone.
Yeah.
That felt isolated. That felt like it was all impossible. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, you know what I'm saying? How did we, how all of those things have worked together, and that's doable. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's doable. So that's my thinking, because your story, we're not even going to be able to capture it here. Do you see what I'm saying? Like we've interviewed so many people. Like
Yes, I know exactly what you're saying. Actually, there was well, I have another thought, and I'm gonna get back to it. But just to piggyback on your comment, so there's this book that I was reading. It's by a guy named Earl Graves. I don't know if you've heard of him before, but he owns a publishing company. It's a very prominent black business called Black Entrepreneur. That's the publication, and he has this book that called How to Be Successful When You're Not White. It's a pretty good book, but it sort of encapsulates a lot of what Dennis was saying, where it's like, on one hand, you have to learn how to navigate coming from maybe a tougher background, but then also position yourself, to Dennis's point, being more performative in white spaces, to understand that when you're confident and you know what you have is of value, it doesn't matter what space you're in, you can tailor yourself to fit into that without being inauthentic. It's just you're communicating in a different way that it still resonates. So when I thought about that book, and when I think about you, and I think it's you should read it.
I think a part of being a great leader is understanding who you're communicating with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for me, it's not necessarily performative. It's more about how could I relay the message so that this specific demographic or this specific person understands, whether they're white and old or whether they're young and they're kids from the inner city. Each person is going to understand parts of information in a different way. And I think as you develop into a leader, to move people, you got to understand the language that they're speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I do. So for example, I can come up to you and be like, "Oh, I'm Dennis." But I'm not gonna go to a foundation and be like, "What up, Johnny?" You know what I mean? I'm gonna be like, "What's going on, bro?"
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? How you doing? Nice,
right.
Because they don't understand this language. They didn't come from this,
right?
And I think people, right? There's it's not a misnomer. There's a misconception about that is performative, but it's not. It's this person, the way you grew up and the way you came from, if that person didn't come from that, they don't understand it. Now it's off-putting, right? But then from the outside looking in, people are looking at you like, oh, that's a performative dude. And it's like, no, I'm not. I just understand my audience.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Culture,
audience.
practices.
You got to understand it. Because how are you going to move? And it even comes down to your team. The way you speak to a man is not the same way you speak to a woman.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying? I know what moves the woman on my team. I have a female secretary, and I have a male treasurer, and I have a male board chair. You know what I mean? But they all get moved by different things, and I have to learn each specific individual as an individual. I'm not grouping the two males the same and the woman. They're all different people. So that's what I go into. So when I'm talking to someone, when I'm learning who they are, that's why, again, we started the conversation with me asking the question. Right? I ask the question so I can be intentional to understand who you are, because your words are going to tell me who you are. Mm-hmm. And then now I can make a judgment on, okay, this is how this person is. Okay, this is what moves this person. And then you work off of that, right? So collaboration, yeah.
Within the last roughly 5 minutes that we have.
No, we can keep going.
Well, no. Well,
camera. You have an hour.
Well, yeah, I'll have to restart the camera if we keep going. But the thing I'm just sort of curious, and I apologize if this comes off as being ignorance, but you're talking about being intentional, and you have this organization called Brothers in Arms. Mm-hmm. What about Sisters in Arms? Where are the women in all of this? I was just thinking about this. I'm like, why there's so much focus on men?
There's nothing ignorant about that question. I think it's a valid question. I would say this though. There's so many resources for women, right? A lot. And I know historically, right, in my family, in my life, all the women in my family have people that are considered safe spaces, right? The relationship I have with my father is not the same relationship my sister has with my father. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna go to my father for certain things that my sister can. You know what I mean? And again, going back to the conditioning of, men don't cry, men are strong. Again, we condition ourselves to not speak at all. So how am I gonna teach a woman to be a better woman in that sense if I don't even know how to be a better man? So the goal is to create spaces where men can become the best men that they possibly can, so then that could trickle down into their families and their women. But going on your notion of sisters in arms or the sisters aspect, I've helped 2 organizations get started for females.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's 2 people that reached out. I met with them, and now they're running and gunning, and they're doing the same work that we're doing, but for the female demographic.
Okay.
Which isn't easy. Like that's the one thing. Mr. Bastien definitely might make things look a lot easier than they are. The other thing that I wanted to ask you, so what do you do with people? Because let's be honest with this work, there are people that are strategically negative or whatever definition you want to give them. There's people that work against your interest for whatever reason. And some people, from my work, I'll speak from my work, as I'm a part of different community initiatives or whatever, not everyone agrees. So what do you do when like you're in spaces with powerful people where there's not alignment? Like how do you navigate those situations? Or past harm or whatever, right? Like how do you move forward in community and still show up and not let that get in your way?
You probably not gonna like that answer, man. I think I'm so focused. I'll be honest, man. I think I'm just so focused on like working with people that support me, people that see my vision to the point where I don't know if it's like a defense mechanism where I've just blocked it out to only see what I need and who I want to collaborate with, but it doesn't really penetrate, it doesn't really impact. In a room full of people, again, I understand, right? I'm young, I'm black, I'm attractive. See, that's a joke. But I'm young.
Don't speak Spanish anymore.
But yeah, I'm young, I'm black, and I know that rubs older men the wrong way, and at times it could, right? And I go with that notion, I understand it. But then there's always going to be that person that sees past that, and it's just like, I support this kid.
Right.
I believe in him. Look at the way he talks. Look at the way he presents himself. He believes in what he's saying, and I do too. The past month, and I can be transparent, right? Because I'm a nonprofit. I raised $100,000, right? And that was strictly off of just conversation, right? I met with someone last week, and she's like, "I'm going to send you $75,000.
Wow.
For the next 3 years, right? Economic development, sustainability, but that was just through a conversation. She felt the energy. She felt the aura. She's like, you don't even need to report it. Keep me anonymous. I don't want my name out there, but there's people out here, and this is what I'm saying. Like when you're aligned in your vision and your goal, there's people that are going to support you. Yeah. Right? And she's like, you don't have to do a report, nothing. I just support you, and I go off of what I call trust-based philanthropy. People like that are going to find you if you're doing the work. Right. And that's what people get misconstrued. They think, oh, I'm going to do this, and it's going to, no. Energy doesn't lie, and energy aligns. And the way I got connected to her was through another executive who was like, you need to meet this person. I'm like, who is this person? She's like, just meet them, and that's it. And I was like, okay. So.
It's awesome.
Yeah. I'll say this just before the camera might cut off. Well, first of all, thank you for being here, and I hope we're able to continue this conversation. And I assume we will, because you said you want to stay. So, assuming that's the case, then what I'm going to do now, because this is the first time this has ever happened, where we've had the opportunity to actually have an extended conversation. So I'm going to switch out the memory cards, our tape, if you will, and we'll keep this going. But I will say real quick, is this your first time having a long podcast, or were your podcasts long before?
Long like this? Yeah, my first time.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Let's keep going.
So what I wanted to say is where I started valuing men work was from working with young adults. I was working in a residential program. It was my first job in human service, and I was working in a STAR program. So what that basically meant, it was a 30-day evaluation program for kids who had been placed there by the court. So police respond to a domestic violence. Parents are, the police go in, maybe the parents have beat themselves or there's drugs or it seems like an unsafe space for young people. So a judge would look at what the police are reporting, say, yeah, they take the young people and put them in a program, why everything can be assessed to try to help the young people from getting in stuff. So dealing with those young people in those programs was very difficult because, these are kids that just came home one day and now they're placed in a program and the future of their whole family and everything is up in the air. From that, what I ended up was doing is I was really effective with what you're talking about. We would hold community meetings and circles and individual therapy sessions with the young people, and I was there Monday through Friday as an assistant program director, supervisor, all these different roles. But I was very impactful. A lot of the young people that I've been fortunate enough to work with were able to excel beyond what I even thought. Like I thought, okay, if I can get these, because I'm comparing them to my journey, right? Like I don't want them to go to jail, right? Like so, in trying to prevent them from going to jail, these kids would actually end up graduating college, working at the White House, like things you never even imagined, and I take no credit for that. I feel like you, right? Like I take no credit for our interaction. Like, yeah, there's an opportunity, but that's my job, right? I'm supposed to be doing that. But when a person takes the opportunity and goes with it, that's their credit. They deserve that credit because they decided not to ignore. They decided not to shut down. So where I want to go with that is I left working with young people because I had this epiphany, like the more kids that I did help, the more kids that I got on track, they would leave and they would pour in more kids that were right at ground zero again. So it was very depleting. I used to describe it like you're downriver and you're just seeing bodies come down the river and you're like, we gotta go upriver. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on up there? To do it. So what I ended up learning was me as a male, there's so many males, right, that for whatever reason, they're not able to either learn the skills or to be present or to heal from their stuff. But when there's a father that is caring and engaging and is able to do that, I found that it's better than, and I'm not disrespecting therapists, medication, and all the surrounding services we create, but when you have an engaged father, an engaged mother, and that nucleus is thriving, man, it can transform a situation. Thus, being a handsome gentleman, I stayed away from the women work because I'm like, I got a wife, she can do that, right? Which is probably not right. And I was like, let me focus on men. Let me focus on the men. So got into the prison, got into all the stuff, EOS, and thus, when I saw Brothers in Arms, the reason I'm giving you that narrative, it was because it was like an answer to my personal prayer. In the sense where it's like, who is going to scale? You get what I'm saying in this thing? Because the more men in that community, the more services, the more it can grow, the more that's going to impact young people. And the more you impact young people, the more you reduce violence. Because most of the violence comes from young people that are just homeless and doing that. So I wanted just to give you that context of the work that you're doing. I think the whole community benefits from. Developers that are looking to build new buildings and build new economies, colleges that are looking to absorb young people and find brilliant minds. None of that happens, in my opinion. It doesn't accelerate without a Brothers in Arms scaling. The more you scale, I think, the more our community, and I really mean this,
Well, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but you were saying like our community, but you also mentioned an individual from Beverly, so it's not just our community. This seems like it could be a statewide issue, it could be a national issue. Like, where do you see Brothers in Arms going from here? Like, and like as far as like the demographics are concerned, we're talking about men. I don't know what age group. I don't know if it's a certain culture of men. Like, where do you see this going? What populations really need to be served?
I mean, it depends on the program, right? So we started a youth program in February, which is from kids 14 to 24. And then the adult program, which is the one that's weekly, that's 18 plus. So as young as 7 has come into our space, right, with an adult, and then as old as 8, right? So it's that wide range of men that we're serving. Where do I see Brothers in Arms going, man? Ultimately, right, my big dream is, you know how there's like a YMCA, a Boys and Girls Club in every inner city, every sector?
Mm-hmm.
I want Brothers in Arms to be in every single place. Goal is to serve 1 million men nationwide and ultimately destigmatize the views on men's mental health. So like when I want men to when there's an issue and they feel their emotions, they can embody it, right? Without being judged, right? In a judgment-free way, right? There's always gonna be people that judge you, but at the end of the day, when something's normalized, there's less pressure on the individual. So that's where I see it. Like, this is a longer term vision. It's putting a Brothers in Arms in every sector, and you're gonna have this whole. I don't want to go into like the whole business plan that I have, but
Yeah. Can we segue into the women? I feel like we have to talk.
So I want to use another dumb, ignorant comment or question. So I like the idea. I think that's fantastic. But what about all the men out there who are just like, what's wrong with my local bar?
Local bar?
Yeah, because like a bar for some people is a place where, like for example, on The Simpsons, you can think of it. It's like a trope, almost like a bunch of men who have problems go to the bar and they go there to talk about their issues when they finally open up with the drinks that they've had.
But they're using a depressant to talk about their issues, right? Which ultimately makes them more depressed at the end. So are you really? But it's like, are you really? It's like you have a cut that's scabbed up, and then to heal the scab, you're cutting it again, and then it heals again, then you're cutting it again. So it's like, are you really?
And you're lying to yourself.
Yeah, and you're lying to yourself, and you're using a substance to reach that point. Now you become dependent on the substance.
Right. So it opens up a whole slew of issues. And I think in circles I've sat in Brothers in Arms, there's people that are actually joining Brothers in Arms circles that weren't served from the bar and the social life. You know what I mean? Like that's the whole point. Like they're like the brother from Beverly. I'm sure there's a bunch of bars in Beverly.
Oh yeah.
But he's traveling, all the way.
So okay, so by extension, it doesn't necessarily have to even be like a negative advice. Like for example, maybe it's just a group of guys who come together and want to play basketball. That it's more positive, but it technically, from my understanding, it's not the proper venue to really have them express themselves, right? I mean, they're playing basketball; they're not really talking to each other, right?
Yeah. So I was a basketball player, but I never faced anything that was happening with myself. I use that as a coping mechanism, right? You're playing basketball, but are you talking? No, you're talking about the plays you're doing. Like, yo, scream, right? But are you really expressing yourself emotionally? No. You're just masking everything, and you're just using basketball to pass the time, right? Some people say basketball is their therapy. Yeah, it might get you to stop thinking about the issue, but once you're done with basketball, what are you doing? The issues are going to resurface.
What about jobs? So you always hear people say, all you need is a job. Have you heard that? A lot of these programs.
I guess.
So a lot of programs are workforce development. A lot of it points towards, what everyone needs is a job. If they get a job, it opens up all of these other things.
Sometimes the job is part of the problem, right? If you're in a workplace for 9 hours that you hate, how are you not going to be depressed? You know what I mean? Like, you're in a place where you fucking hate this place, right? Like, it's like you walk in and you're like, fuck, I'm here again. it's like a constant state of fucking depression.
Well, but what if it's a job that you like, but let's say it doesn't really necessarily meet your needs?
If it's a job that you like that doesn't.
Let's say, for example, you're like a line cook. You're like, I love making food for people, but I'm spending 8 to 10 hours a day in this sweaty kitchen, only getting like $15 an hour. And I can't pay rent. I can't pay for my car. If I even have credit for a car, like, what about that situation?
Going back to Brothers in Arms, I think ultimately why it works is because not only are you there expressing your emotions, but you're around people who can hold you accountable, right? And can help sharpen your sword, right? And that's where we grow the most, where again, that's why I said, if I'm in a room where I feel like I wasn't invited, I go to another room, right? And then I'll get around the people who I feel like are my people. And when you come into Brothers in Arms, that's exactly how you're gonna feel. Like, these are people who don't know you from a hole in the wall, but will spend 30 minutes talking life into you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think ultimately it's about finding the space that's dedicated to expression. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes we say, "Oh man, basketball's my therapy," or "Yeah, just Some people say they pray or whatever, but it's like sometimes you just need to be heard, and that's just the bottom line. That you just need to let it out, right? You can pray all day, but sometimes you need to let it out to people who are humans, right? Human connection, and there's healing in that.
And learn, like, I always stay away from the title, as a restorative justice practitioner and all this crazy stuff. But I want to say, like, as people learn about restorative justice, there are certain people like yourself and Brothers in Arms that I've been able to identify where restorative practices are innately in them. They were passed down through families and through experience, right? So when we talk about restorative justice, we're talking about collective practices that came from tribal communities, and those things have been innately handed down in communities. But you got to be able to spot it. You know what I mean? You got to be able to spot it because you have all of these other things like that we were just naming that claim to address the things that you're seeing people get free from, right? Like, what job would a man come in and then start crying? Do you get what I'm saying? What bar would that happen? And as people who have, I identify what you're saying, holding on to all of these emotions through tragic experiences. Man, after you cry, I'll never forget when I was a kid and I'd get like spanking, right? And then I'd cry. Best sleep ever.
Ultimate release.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, I'm just wake up the next day hungry, ready to live. So there's something to that. But I want to segue because we're all gonna have to go because we got other stuff. I want to get into a good conversation about partnership, females, and the reason I'm saying females, for me, I'm married, so I identify as what is it, gender conforming? Is that I'm a gender conforming?
Not necessarily. All sorts of different people are married. Some people marry themselves. Did you see what's her name? Tiffany Haddish did? She married herself.
Okay.
What?
Well, I know. So my wife is big with terminology and seeing people, and there's all these terms that I'm trying to learn. So I thought like non-gender conforming means people that choose to not be traditional, like man, woman, and all these traditional titles.
Yes, that's true, but it has no bearing on marriage.
Okay. So forget the marriage. I've always pursued, females, which has been a source, at least for me, or a stress of my mental health. And I found as I started facilitating, so many others too, like so many other brothers that I would always invite when I was doing my group, let's come here, let's build community, let's build all of this stuff. And they would only show up when they were in conflict with their partners. So do you find that a lot of men's stress kind of comes from maybe not having the skills to navigate relationships, or not even ever knowing like how do you appropriately approach someone that you like at 14? Like, I never really learned that stuff. So as people kind of go about their life, do you find that interpersonal relationships tend to be at the heart of a lot of conflict?
Yeah. Again, this past Monday, his name. I can say this confidently because I know he doesn't care. It's my guy. But at our 3-year anniversary thing, he got the award for being the most consistent. So he came. Since he first came to the circle, he hasn't missed one circle. Right at the 3-year mark, at that mark, and he expressed to us last week that he's like, I never told Mike this. He's like, I never told Mike this, but the reason why I came to the circle was because I was having conflict with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I think a lot of it is a direct correlation. Because at times, again, like when you're not taught how to speak to your woman or treat a woman because you never had like a model in place, sometimes it's hard. So now you need guidance from other men who might have experiences with women. And you can learn from their mistakes, or there's guys in the circle who kind of got it. And now it's like, damn, you got it. How are you doing it? Or what has worked for you? Because the guys are of all ages, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's all different. Again, I got to 65 and guess that comes in as 19. So interpersonal connections, I think, is a direct correlation to the stress that we're facing.
Now, when we talk, so when Mike was switching the tape, we kind of had a formal discussion, and I was talking about how, I'm not really moved by outer appearance. Like, so when I see, and let me get this straight, like that does not mean that I'm not attracted or I don't see and I can't be like, wow, that girl is a beautiful girl. But I've learned, now I'm married and it's not even on my mind. But my point is, even when I was single, which are you in a relationship or married?
I'm single.
Okay, so you're single.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of want to get into this because I think if I had a daughter that was your age, I would want her pursuing or trying to be in a relationship with someone like you. Mm-hmm. And that's a compliment in the sense where you have purpose. You're going somewhere. And you're still gonna have to grow in all of those things. So what I'm saying is for you now, you're single, you're an executive director. Is it hard finding someone, right? Like I was, you see, when I got Kat, I was like, I'm out. See y'all later, because I knew like to find someone. Because my point is, to me, I would rather have someone internally that is tens in the areas where I think internally, like when I'm dealing with stuff and emotionally mature, but still not enabling me in bad behavior, being able to confront me and push me to be great. Mm-hmm. And that far outweighs someone that I could walk in a club with and I'm like, wow, she's the most beautiful person in this space. Mm-hmm. So that's me. Where do you land, like with that navigating, like? Because I do want to say, when I was younger, I was attracted by physical beauty and found myself in some real, like in prisons worse than being in prison.
I agree with that. I think for me, it's a mixture of both, right? I think beauty gets you in the door, but the heart and the values it keeps you in the room. That's for me. It is difficult, man. I mean, I think because of what I'm doing, I get a lot of attention, and that's very attractive to women. But I got to be selective because what I keep at the forefront is my peace. Right? I've been in relationships where, people weren't at peace with themselves. So how can we be at peace with each other, right? Or I haven't been at peace with myself. So how can we be at peace with each other? So what I look at is more or less the values, but beauty is like the precursor.
Yeah,
to getting it for sure. That was sort of political, but it's
not political. So, no offense, Stan. I think his answer is already off. It's based on his own appearance. He comes presentable, right? So you would want to have the same expectation in your partner, right?
Yeah, but my point is, beauty is in the eye of the beholder too. Like, have you ever had a friend that is like really like, wow, isn't she fine? And in your mind, you're like, not for me.
Yeah, I mean that's always going to happen. We all have different preferences. I think when it comes to appearance, I think I said this before off camera. It's manipulated at this point. So I'm actually easily not impressed by someone who's just simply attractive.
Exactly.
Like this person could be a 10, but I'm like, there's several other 10s statistically. Mm-hmm. So this doesn't really stand out to me. Mm-hmm. I'm actually not impressed. Mm-hmm. I almost think about it in the same way as like consumer products, which is really bad to view a person that way. But like there are so many great cell phones, for example, but if you were to name your top three, I'm pretty sure we would have the same list.
Right.
And it's going to go with anything else, and it's going to be the same way with individuals. So, but the way you're going to distinguish a truly attractive person is when you get to know them better.
Exactly.
And there's no other way around doing that, just by simply looking at them.
Well, that's what I'm trying to like. I think the danger for me, and I don't know if it still exists. I've been married, like again, I'm saying, 15 years now.
Amazing.
So
Congrats.
yeah, and it's a blessing. But I do remember, so when I was in Green Monster mode, and I was, out here, so to speak, right?
Green Monster, I explained to you, I don't think we've ever mentioned that before.
Oh, Green Monster?
Yeah, who's Green Monster?
Well, just put GREENMONSTAR in your Google, and stuff will pop up, and you're gonna be like, "This is completely not the guy that's speaking on this podcast." But yeah, so when I got out of incarceration, I got out for violent crimes, and it just made sense. At the time, I wrote an album that if you ask Ike Boogie, who's was a DJ from Lawrence, my best friends, he'll tell you I had 50 Cent's album Incarcerated before I released, but then 50 Cent came out while I was still incarcerated. So when I got out, my mindset was like, well, let me do this music thing, because I really did have crimes. I really was from the community. I had credibility. So I went on that journey, but as everyone can see now with the Diddy stuff that has happened, and I don't know about Diddy specifically, but what I'm saying is
Diddy?
That culture,
Where's that?
that culture, listen, I've been all through, anyways, the culture of the hip hop culture is evolving, like all of our culture is. And in the season where I saw it, it rubbed up against the prison norms. Like in prison, one of the worst things you can do is be a pedophile or an informant. Those are two things. You ask anyone from jail, did he tell on someone or did he molest children? Mm-hmm. So it was very odd for me when I would go to clubs, and I'm down in Miami, Collins, right? I'm going to all the places. If you really want to get on in hip hop, it's not that hard. Get your money together. Go to basketball weekend, go to Memorial Day. You'll figure the places where everybody goes, Super Bowl, and then you'll see all the stars and you build networks. So I was on that journey. And when I was on that journey, I would see guys ushering young girls. So you're there, you're getting in the club, you're like, oh, let's go, right? You're on that time. And then all of a sudden you're seeing oh, we ain't got no ID. You can clearly see this is probably a teenager, right? Oh, it's good. Because she looked fine, because she looked good. So all of that made me really turn me away from the art of hip hop and all that stuff. But while I was there, even though I didn't talk to the 16-year-olds, but there was some 20-year-olds and some 30-year-olds. And what I would find is I used to hate getting to know a girl, because a beautiful girl is an enemy is the worst thing to my productivity. And you can't control it. I feel like when you reject a woman, if she's not mature, you can create an enemy, and that could really be dangerous to your livelihood. So, is that just me? Is that just mine?
It's definitely not.
Well, I would say it's true for not just women, for anyone, right? If somebody approaches you, and this actually may have happened to you before, they may approach you and they have an idea, for example, and they're like, hey, this is a really good idea. I would love your support, right? And you think about the idea, or maybe you have information about the idea put before you, and you're looking at this going, the way you're thinking this, you're not saying out loud, oh, this sucks. Of course, you'll say in a professional way, hey, right now I got other things going on, or right now maybe I can't help you with this, or whatever, right? And then that individual takes that rejection and is like, no, my idea is great. And then they start to put you down, because they're like, oh, so-and-so didn't want to do this with me. They're no good, whatever, da-da-da. And then maybe you even had that too, as an artist.
Yeah, but I think the difference is people in business will show themselves. So if me and you are in a partnership and I'm not pulling my weight or whatever, and it doesn't work, and then I go and try to find another partner. In the initial, they're not going to understand, right? But like when I see Mike, if I see people that were around Mike in his space and they didn't work, I tend to biasly say, well, what was it about them? Because I understand the construct. With women, where it's different, is there's always someone there willing to kill somebody, in my experience, especially young people, over a female. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people, I think we're really good at getting together, but we're terrible at breaking apart when it just doesn't make sense. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's like, when does it become okay to break up with someone and not like have ownership? Do you get what I'm saying? Like people in their mind, it's like, she belongs to me, and anybody that messes with her must die. You know? You know what I'm saying? And that was one of the motivating factors for me, where I was like, oh, I'm out. I have this beautiful woman. She's super intelligent. I find her completely head over heels attractive. See you later. When am I going to see this? And I want to say this. How many times have you met a friend where they had the one? They had the beautiful girl. She was smart. She was loyal. She was waiting for that person to mature and really see her. And they cheated on her mad times. And then she finally left. And now they're sitting with someone that I would say they didn't really want. And their whole life now is dysfunctional. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Oh, that's the camera's done?
Yeah, I think the battery died.
All right, look.
No.
But I want to ask that. I'm really curious about, like, do you still find that?
Hold that thought. I got no battery.
So we're talking about girls, and the last question I asked is: it still dangerous, or do you find it's dangerous out here dating for you? And when I say dangerous, like, you know, you're exposing yourself to a lot of risk.
Yeah, I think it goes back to being intentional, man. I'm very selective, to be honest. Like, to the point where people might think I'm crazy, and what I'm looking for is not even possible. But again, not in the humblest way possible. I know I can get any girl that I want. So why just get with any girl?
So selective. What if you're putting out into the universe? Like, specifically, what are the things where you're like, this is what I'm looking for. These are my non-negotiables. Have to be there. And I know you're not going to be able to capture them all.
Yeah.
You know.
Fit.
Fit.
I need a girl that's fit.
Okay.
Right? And not just physically fit, right? There's a lot of girls that have A1 genes. Like, they eat like trash. Like, I can't be with a girl that eats fast food. And that's just me, though.
Yeah.
I'm vegan, almost 6 years in January, but I need you to be able to treat the only temple you have with grace. You know what I'm saying? And honor it. I don't do the fast food, and I've dealt with, you know, situations past where it's like Oreos, cheeseburger. And it takes a toll on your mental health and your energy and all that. So fit friendly, right? Not friendly to the extent where like you're everybody's friend, but you gotta be a nice, kind human. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's people that are just mean for no reason. And like, I look at the way women treat people in their ecosystem, because that shows like a lot about them. Not just because anyone can be nice to a stranger. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But like, how you treat the people in your direct ecosystem is I feel like how you truly are. Like, you treat your mom, brother, cousin, sister. You know what I'm saying? Yes. I look at that, and when I'm talking to someone, I'm constantly observing. So fit, friendly, and then another thing that's big for me, man, it's a lot of women aren't gonna like this, right? Because they say, women are more emotionally intelligent. I need a woman that has high EQ.
Okay.
Like high EQ. And I say that because I've been in a lot of situations where the small
EQ, emotional intelligence?
Yeah, EQ.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been in a lot of situations where like the smallest thing turned into the biggest thing, and now we're sitting down arguing about the microwave door being open. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm.
It was oddly specific. Go ahead.
It was what?
Oddly specific.
Very specific. Microwave girl. Some girls like, I knew that's what it was. I knew it was microwave.
But that's what I'm saying. And I think anything else, like, again, I say highly because I don't want to go into every single thing. But, like, I think if we could start with those three, where it's like, we could build on something. And then you obviously have to be beautiful. Like, there's standards, right? But those are the four things. Do I find it difficult in this ecosystem? Yeah, man. I think, again, for me, like, beauty gets you in the door. But now I find myself taking my time when I'm meeting women more. Like, before I was more impulsive with my needs. And I don't need to get too explicit. Now it's more like, I want to get to know the person on a deeper level. I want to understand what their values are. That's something I didn't mention. The core values is number one. Like, one or two, right? I'd say one, beauty, then core values.
Can I ask you one more question? So
I don't know if I want this.
Listen, you're not alone on it. Everything you said, I identify with. That's why I have more questions. The question that I'm asking is, have you ever, damn, it just slipped my mind. Hold on. Have you ever, man, you threw me over. You were like, no, I don't.
You want to come back? Because I have one.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to think
All
about
right.
it.
So you were talking about having non-negotiables, right? I would imagine that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the partner that you're looking for would also be quite intentional, right? So if that's the case, they're going to have a list of non-negotiables.
Okay.
So, you once again, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like you set the bar up here. The person that you're looking for set the bar up here or even higher.
Yeah.
So do you think it's even possible to find this person? Because they may be challenging you more than you're challenging them.
Great question. And I would say, of course, it's possible. But I think with every good relationship comes compromise, right? So, like, I could be looking for 10 things out of this woman, but if she can get 7, then we can build towards the 10. You know what I'm saying? And in regard to, hold the thought, in regard to her holding me to this standard, and that's what I want, right? I want my woman to hold me to a standard that is keeping me in a continuous stage of elevated growth. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't like that, right? A lot of people don't like a woman who's more ambitious, makes more money, and things of that nature. I welcome that because that's showing me that there's more that I need to sharpen and work on to become a better man.
Okay.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, that was a good. That was good. You build on this, right? Yeah. So, if you're with this individual and they're making you work harder, making you kind of sharpen your skills and improve, right? And you feel like you're doing it, but then they feel like you've come to this point where no, you've peaked. You haven't made that point yet. In your mind, you're like, no, she's great. In her mind, she's like, he's not getting there. What do you say then? Like,
I'll say this. If I feel like I'm at a level where I'm there and she feels like I'm not, then that's a conversation that needs to be had. I gotta understand what are the metrics that you're laying out for me to not be at the level that you see. And then from there, you pivot and you adjust, just like I've been doing with Brothers in Arms, for media. Again, there's no challenge that I can't tackle if I put my mind to it. It's been proven. I taught myself how to speak. You know what I'm saying?
that's true. But no, it's very true. So this is why I was thinking about this, because I was like, there has to be there are qualities that you can't perfectly change, right? Let's say like your personality. There's aspects of one's personality you can't change. You can try to check yourself, but it's your personality. Like you can't change who you are, right? So let's say for example, one of those issues that you're trying to work on is in fact you closing that microwave door, and you're just like, I'm working on it. I put notes everywhere. I put Post-its, but you're still leaving that microwave door open. And she's just getting triggered. She's like, the electricity bill is going up. Like, I see it. Like, you just got to push a little further. Like, why don't you just do this? And you're like, I'm working on it. You're working on it. You're doing everything else perfectly, but that microwave door is still open.
I mean, I think it comes to to a situation where like the woman has to have grace, right? This is she has to have the patience, right? Love is kind, love is patient.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's something that she can't come to terms with, right, or be patient with me on,
Mm-hmm.
then that's a decision we both need to make, or she needs to make in regard to moving on.
The other point that I wanted to kind of bring up was, for me, one of the reasons why I settled is because there's something about me that makes women go crazy. And literally, like when the jealousy, tracking where I am and all of that stuff, and then really trying to destroy my life, like literally, because I was a rapper. So how can you be, a rapper and not be out? And same thing, like it transfers to an executive director. So my whole point is, have you had any experiences where it's just like,
Absolutely.
and so my point is, could you? No, because I don't want to. Yeah, I get it, right? You don't want to say specifically the person, but what?
Broadly share a story.
Yeah, can you share just a story that kind of transformed the way you approach your relationships because of the toxicity? Because you said you lead with peace, so that came from experience, right? You didn't always lead with peace. So
I think that's a more interesting conversation. What's going on there?
Say again?
I'm saying that's a more interesting conversation. You can always leave with peace of what's going on there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm assuming like you went through something that really transformed the way you decided to move forward. Can you kind of share it loosely without kind of outing the specific situation, but like,
Okay.
You don't have to.
I would say this. I think I have stories, and I can just be transparent.
well, this is tied into brothers in arms, because if you remember what I was saying, how we got here,
Yeah.
we're talking about most people that come seeking help, like me, right? I fell for Disney. All you need is Cinderella. And then you find out she ain't Cinderella and I ain't Prince Charming, right? And then you shift. So that's what I'm saying. Like it is attached to I think at some point I'm married for the second time. I don't care what anybody says. I come from a church construct where they're like, oh, once you marry someone, it's forever. I believe it's important for you to identify toxic patterns and try, like you're saying, to grow. Like realizing, hey, we are a 7, but there is a 10. But you can't do that if you can't recognize a -5, so to speak, right? If you're in a relationship, and I know brothers that they're in relationships where they're women sleeping with their friends, physically putting their hands on them. Like, there are beautiful women, but there are also some toxic people. So my point is, like, this standard comes from a place.
For sure. I'll say this, and I'll keep people out of it. It's just more about what I had to go through in order to get to the next tier. Like I mentioned earlier, one of my 7 deadly sins is lust, right? And I'll go into that backstory a bit. The reason is because I only got praised and championed when I brought women around from my father. So I thought, and I embodied, I was like, oh, this is what it means to be a man, right? What it means to be a man is to be with all these women, like young age, man. I can speak online, I don't mind. Lost my virginity at 14 years old. And at a young age, I was like engulfed with the idea of being a man means that you have to be with a lot of women. You know what I mean? And even into my early 20s, there was a situation specifically where, again, I'm over 21. I go to this brunch, right? That's like what's big or whatnot. And it's my cousin's birthday. He's turning 30. And I'm like, okay, I'm here to have fun, right? I didn't even want to go to this place. And I know how I get in a room full of beautiful women, right? Just like any young man will, you're super excited. So then me and my friends say, hey, let's go to the bar. We start going shot for shot. We start buying people drinks. I start, again, doing what young men do, man. And this day, Dennis and Mike, I was 10. I was 10 out of 10, bro. Like, everything I talked to was mine. Every single thing. It was
Nothing but that.
Nothing but that. I want to make out with this girl. I want to dance with this girl. They were just giving it to me. But at the end of the night, right, and I'm fast forwarding a bit, my lust was taking over. At the end of the night, the next day, I look at my bank account, I'm negative 800. I spent $800 in one night, one day. That is rent for some people. And at that point, I said, I think I have a problem. That's where I took accountability. Because I said, I don't make money like that. Yes, I had 800 to spend. Did I want to spend it in that day? And that is when I went on my journey towards being sober. You know what I'm saying? And that's when I realized that, again, like part of me containing and controlling the lust that I have as a man, I have to get rid of the being intoxicated. I got to get rid of the spirits, right? That's what they call it. So like that's the story that I'll end off with. I went at night, made out with a whole bunch of women, spent $800, and that was the journey towards being sober.
I want to contrast with just one thing though, because I know when we had met, you were on a journey of celibacy.
Yeah.
Is that okay to kind of just speak on like what was the takeaway from that journey?
The celibacy journey.
Yeah, the celibacy journey. Because I remember meeting you, you were like locked in, like.
Again, another way to show my mind and my body that I'm in control, right? None of the external factors are going to push me to do things that I innately don't want to do. But man, I feel like everything that you're doing, like when it comes to celibacy or getting rid of alcohol, you're building the blocks of confidence with yourself that is helping you get to that next level. So like now, again, the refined version of me is, and I feel like confidence has to do with the trust that you have with yourself. So the refined version of me is, I know I can do anything because of all the things I've done leading up to the point. Like I've said no to sex for 6 months. You know what I mean? I stopped drinking for 3 years. What can you tell me that I can't do? And I know people that are well into their 40s, 50s, and they need a drink or they fall victim to their sexual urges. But not me. I know when the time comes, if I need it, I can just stop it cold turkey. I've been vegan for 6 years. You know what I'm saying? Like these are the hardest things, right? Gluttony, like controlling the food that you eat. I've done the hardest thing, so now everything else to that is subpar and easy.
So amazing. Well, I mean, I have the one thing I want to share with you. So we talked about a renaissance in Lawrence. Andy was here. I think Tamara was here, and we would from UTech, and we were talking about how like Lawrence at one point wasn't in position where it is now. It's just moving, and there's still a lot of challenges and a lot of things. But I think, because of people like you, because of people like Andy, and because of this rising ground level leaders that are just kind of sprouting up everywhere, Lawrence is a different city that I knew, as a young people. And I just want to say thank you, because a lot of that is because of you and by way of you, the extension. Because I know when you're here that you represent so many people. And I just want to say thank you, because like I'm really interested to see where the young people are going to go off of this elevated platform that I'm seeing, in front of my own eyes. And so I just really appreciate you, Mike. I really do.
Thank you, man. I did want to say too, I've helped create the space to lay the foundation, but ultimately, man, it's a community. You know what I mean? Like it's the community that really shows up, because without them, there is no circle. Like I can't have a circle with myself, right? And they got to be open. And I'm just grateful that they trust me to be the steward of that. You know what I mean? So thank you, Lawrence.
Yeah. So if you do come back, maybe we could bring some other people from the space and get into some more stories about dating in Lawrence. Dating in Lawrence. Listen, I love Lawrence.
Yeah, I just want to close out. I also want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for being intentional in this space and being open and honest with us about some of the things that you've experienced, some of the thoughts that you've had. And I guess for me, technically, you've kind of given me an example of what being in a circle in Brothers Arms might be like if I would be a part of that. So I think it's very important that you continue the work that you do, keep expanding on it. I do want to have you come back because I want to learn. I want to get an idea of how you apply this online or apply this in different regions with different groups of people. because I definitely see that there's an opportunity for other types of people in completely different communities, like rural communities or even suburban communities, where they could use something like a Brothers in Arms out there. And maybe we can help make this world a better place by having people actually talk about what they're feeling instead of acting out and being foolish. So
Yeah, and we'll go. We'll go. It's every Monday night. We'll go so you can experience it.
And this Monday we're having a potluck, so it's just a celebration. So you guys are more than welcome.
Potluck.
Yeah,
sounds good.
eat this Monday.
Love it.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much.